The high level and expensive staff resources that presently goes towards presenting different courses to different students in various parts of the world, to my mind, is difficult to justify in the face of the pressing need to reduce cost and reach more people. And of course, the open educational resource movement is significant in this respect because it has the capacity for reducing the cost of education while at the same time diversifying the provision and maybe even increasing the quality in some places. And of course, it's not just the possibility of sharing resources, it's the possibility of actually registering for courses at universities physically distant from where you are. No surprise to anybody in this room, but a big surprise to people in the conventional sector. It's not only the preserve of the open and distance learning institutions to offer such educational offerings. We know that more and more universities, and soon it'll be all universities, adding e-learning options and more students adding to their portfolio by taking such options. Earlier this year, Philip Long, in an interview with James Morrison, the editor-in-chief of the online journal Innovate, described some of the outcomes of something called iCampus, a recently concluded multi-million research project, a collaboration between MIT and Microsoft Research that builds on using human technologies that enable more effective learning. One such MIT project is called iLabs, and it puts real laboratory experiments, not virtual simulations, but actual experiments running in real time online, so students can experience them remotely. The iLab vision is to create a worldwide network of shared laboratory instruments and educational materials. An open lab provides a portal to selected remote laboratories at MIT. And through this portal, students, educators, and self-learners are given unrestricted access to some of the iLabs, implement experiments of their own using the open source software, or run microelectronics performance tests on a semiconductor if they wish. So a massive change in the sense of the possible. Thirdly, we've also got to ask ourselves some questions how best we deliver customer service or student support in this new world. How we harness this technology and all these social networks that have been spawned to enhance student learning, to encourage peer-to-peer mentoring, to encourage collaborative learning models. How do we deal with the shifting boundaries between formal and informal learning? How do we harness the content that's being created on the web in this remarkable new way? What we see on the web are people from all over the world creating communities of interest, some of them very sophisticated indeed, on a whole range of subject matter not dictated by academic concerns. And what we need to do is ask ourselves how we harness this energy and recognize the learning, how we can learn from our students by using the internet and all its innovations. An entrepreneurial quantum leap forward in this pedagogical approach is evidenced by the launch 2 months ago of the University of the People, claiming to be the world's first tuition-free online institution, initiated by somebody in Israel. The non-profit organization uses collaborative and open source e-learning course material to provide higher education virtually free of charge to any student with access to a computer and internet connection and who could submit a certificate of graduation from a secondary school and demonstrate proficiency in English. This has been inspired by the learning by teaching or peer-to-peer teaching methodology. Students enrolled onto the University of the People courses will learn only through peer-to-peer teaching and the support of a worldwide community of educators. Interesting. And fourthly, of course, quality. There are some who remain skeptical about the quality of the learning experience delivered via technology, and they cite the centrality of the face-to-face student-teacher relationship. It's time we stopped arguing about this and moved beyond that. Open and distance education institutions, in my view, bear a special responsibility in this regard. Conventional quality assurance methods often fail to understand the models we use, and the conventional ranking systems use outdated criteria. Collectively, we could change that, and it should be one of the main projects of an organization such as ICDE to come up with a more innovative and appropriate set of criteria and indeed rankings. And fifthly, of course, we need to grapple with the idea that scholarship itself in all its manifestations is being inexorably changed, even revolutionized. The vast digital assets that have been created, combined with the awesome computer power, make it possible to ask and research questions not capable of being researched before. What scholars, from undergraduate students to professors, need to know in order to achieve their goals is now dramatically different from yesteryear. Borgman and others point to the issues of building and maintaining what has come to be known as cyber infrastructure, and the Horizon report makes some sharp observations about academics not paying sufficient attention to the upgrading of their skills to take advantage of the potential for their research and for the design of the educational process. There are untold research opportunities unfolding into pedagogy, into the database rendered visible by the digitization of libraries and archives and museums, etc. New voices, we think, according to Charles Ledbetter, whole new models of learning and scholarship. Now, in conclusion, I have obviously spent some time drawing your attention to some of the big changes taking place in higher education, as well as to the technology and the new social arrangements that we are seeing in cyberspace. Arrangements mostly available at the moment in the so-called North, because broadband is more widespread in the North and encourages use. But of course, cyberspace has no North, South, East or West. And I have done so because I believe that all of these have profound consequences for the role and the function of the university, to say nothing of the business model upon which universities run their operations, wherever they may be. Consequences which will evident themselves in some places more quickly than others for obvious reasons, but I also do so because I believe that embracing the unprecedented educational changes and opportunities they offer is vital to addressing the complex issues which face us individually and collectively as a species in the 21st century. The wonderful thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the means for education for many, many more people. Not conventional education for the few, relatively speaking, who can travel distances to the physical sites of learning, more especially universities. That perforce remains the privilege of a few. But our science, our technology, our ingenuity, our imagination have brought us to a situation where we have alternatives. Homer Dixon, in his book, The Upside of Down, remarks how wonderful it is that while we are living through perilous times, we have also invented this dazzling technology which enables planet-wide collaboration, the harnessing of many minds to difficult issues, what Kelly calls a new kind of socialism. Whatever you call it, universities have a unique responsibility, it seems to me. If we don't understand, if we don't grasp the opportunities, it's difficult to imagine our continued reputation and our continued success as worthy institutions. Thank you for your attention.